Our long national nightmare is over. Finally, an Alabama player scores in the Super Bowl.
You are Locked On Bama, your daily podcast on the Alabama Crimson Tide. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey, everybody, and welcome back into Locked On Bama, HSA Radio Network's Luke Robinson, that's me. Bama Online's Jimmy Stein, that's him. This episode is brought to you by FanDuel. We'll talk about FanDuel in just a little bit. I want to thank you everydayers for being here every day, and thank you newbies for being here today, and for all of you for making us your first listen every day. So, Jimmy, we will lead with some Super Bowl talk. It's Locked On Bama, and normally we probably wouldn't. But, you know, Devonta Smith scores a touchdown pass from Jalen Hurts, no less. Yes, Jalen Hurts is an Alabama alum. I think technically if you even go to school for like 5 minutes, you're an alum. But he also has a degree from Alabama. He won national championships at Alabama. He's a Bammer. Now, if Oklahoma wants to claim him too, go for it. But he's a Bammer. And Devonta Smith scores a touchdown. Tom Brady calls him one of the more unselfish players in all the NFL. Devonta Smith is I thought this year would be his breakout. I think it might be next year. I don't know, super proud for Landon Dickerson, super proud for Devonta, obviously, and Jalen. And just very, very happy for this team. And, you know, the other thing that it brings up is Devonta Smith moving up to most Bammers' favorite player.
It's hard. Like, I mean, who doesn't like Devonta? I mean, it's impossible not to like. He's so humble to be such an accomplished player. I think he's the best wide receiver that's ever played at Alabama. I think the Heisman Trophy that he won sort of ends that argument as to who's the greatest wide receiver in Alabama history. And then everything he's done in the NFL is just gravy on top of that. But he's just one of the great receivers in pro football right now. And what a play on the touchdown, too, where that Chiefs player might have even got his hand in there a little early, didn't stop Devonta from making the unbelievable catch. And, hey, not the last time we saw Jalen go to Devonta. I know every Alabama fan knows the incredibly famous Tua to Smitty play. Jalen threw a game-winning touchdown pass to Devonta Smith earlier that season against Mississippi State. Wasn't quite as spectacular, but effective nonetheless, as Alabama sort of struggled to win that game in Starkville. But Jalen hit Devonta Smith in the end zone late for a touchdown that did it. So really happy for all them. A couple other Alabama players on that Eagles team that will get rings. Tyler Steen, who played a significant role last night. He's kind of their sixth offensive lineman, but they had a lineman hurt, and Steen came in and played a lot of that game. Eli Ricks is on that team that spent time at Alabama, and Byron Young is on that team. He's on injured reserve, didn't play last night, but Byron Young is an Eagle. He'll get a Super Bowl ring too.
Yeah, and again, Devonta, one of the very few players in all of football history to win a Heisman, national championship, a Super Bowl. He's kind of just done it all. I mean, he's now scored the game-winning touchdown against Mississippi State. I mean, that in itself, for some people, would go down as magical. Then he wins the national championship on a game-winning catch. Right. Then he wins the Super Bowl with it, and not with it just his touchdown catch, but he has a touchdown. And remember, he's from Louisiana, so that's got to be even a little more special. I mean, he's just something else, and I hope that we as Bama fans appreciate him as much as we should, because you know, when you look at him, and he is the Slim Reaper for a reason. I mean, he is not body by Jake. He's not Julio Jones. He's not even really Amari Cooper. He's his own thing, and he's super slender, and he's not like Randy Moss country strong. But all he does is win, and he is super unselfish. And boy, you and I spent a lot of time talking about Jalen Hurts, or excuse me, Jalen Milroe as an ambassador for this program. Tell you who's an ambassador for this program, and that's Devonta Smith. But going back to Jalen Hurts, I was talking to somebody the other day about this, and I said, I've been to every single Alabama national championship game since 1992. I went to the championship game in 92. I've been to the losses. I've been to the wins. I've been to a lot of SEC title games, including 92, including 2012. I've been to, some incredible – I've been to all kind of games that are just unbelievable for the University of Alabama. The most memorable game for me to this point in my 52 years is the 2018 SEC title game.
Oh, yeah.
I'll never, ever forget that as long as I live. And Hollywood couldn't have written a script like it. It was unbelievable. And Buddy King called, as they say. That's remember my old story about Mom and the guy that called? Okay.
Everything is unbelievable.
Everything's unbelievable. But in fact, I don't think I used his name the last time, but I used his name this time because he says unbelievable. But anyway.
Jalen's such a champion. I mean, he really is. He's a champion. And now he's the champion at the highest level in the world. And is so earned it. He earned it. I mean, so no one has the Super Bowl falling into their lap by any means, but Jalen Hurts earned every inch of this through nothing but hard work. But he's a champion. And I don't think we talk about enough in 2016 when he was a true freshman. Jalen Hurts left the field with a lead. He gave his team the lead at the end of the national championship game in 2016. That and the defense just couldn't hold on, and that's fine. I'm not blaming anyone. I'm just saying Jalen Hurts did what he needed to do at the end of that game to put his team in a position to win.
And it was one of Saban's best defenses, by the way.
Oh,
Just
yeah.
give Watson a lot of credit.
In 2017, and no doubt Tua deserves the accolades for what he did in the second half of that game. But let's remember the path that it took to get to that game. It's not like Alabama just showed up that season in the national championship game. You had to win your way there. Jalen Hurts had a lot to do with that. And then in 2018, as the game Luke pointed out, just one of the all-time redemption stories. And again, Jalen proving that he's a champion. And he went out there and won the SEC again for Alabama, and then goes on to Oklahoma. And what does he do? Wins the Big 12, gets his team into the playoffs. Of course he does, because that's what Jalen Hurts does. He goes to the NFL, and the Eagles have been a winner ever since Jalen took the reins. They've been a winner. They finally won it all. But Jalen Hurts' one-loss record as a quarterback has to be just stunning when you take into account what he did in high school for his dad, and then at Alabama, and then in Oklahoma, and then with the Eagles. His one-loss record as a starter is stunning. And if we're not talking about wins and losses for quarterbacks, I don't know what the heck we're talking about.
Exactly. And the other thing is, I don't even know if you'll do a 30 for 30 him. You're going to have to do like a 90 for 90 because you think about, he's from Texas. He wanted to go to Texas, and Texas basically passed on him. And so he committed to Alabama. He's not the starter in that first game against USC. Alabama tries a couple other dudes and finally puts him in. And all he does is win. And then he leads the team to the national championship game. And like you said, he did his part, and the defense kind of let him down. I'm not trying to, poo-poo on the defense, because that 16 defense was special. Had a lot of dudes on it, but they lost that game. And then he comes back the next year, and all people can talk about is, Jalen Hurts is good, but have you seen Tua? And
right.
All of a sudden you can see maybe a decline in his play, and then Tua comes in, he's the hero. And then the next year it's all Tua, all Tua, all Tua. And then Tua gets hurt, and Jalen has to face off against probably the best team in the country, or right up there. I know Clemson won the title that year, but anyway, and then he goes to Eagles, and he's sort of an afterthought, like, maybe he can come in and just be a tush-push guy for a while, or the Philly special or whatever. What is it called?
They call it the brotherly shove.
Brotherly shove, that's what it is.
That's what the
throwback pass to Nick Foles,
Jalen's quote about that, which is so great because some people call it the tush push in Philadelphia, the brotherly shove. I asked Jalen about it, and Jalen's like, that's what y'all call it. It's just quarterback sneak to me. I mean, that's the call, is quarterback sneak. And, y'all come up with all those words and labels, but it's just a quarterback sneak. And that's so Jalen. Like, he has no frills. He just wins.
And, again, all the talk centered around Mahomes is going 3 in a row, and all Jalen does is go out there and win. And, yeah, some of his passes – I mean, the one pass – what's beautiful, the one pass to A.J. Brown, like early in the game, that's probably his best pass, and it got called back for sort of a ticky-tack offensive pass interference. But his pass to –
that throw was awesome.
That throw was awesome because the throw to Devonta was good, not great. If he puts it out there a little easier, Devonta just catches it right over his shoulder.
Yeah, the throw to A.J. Brown that got called back was ridiculous.
Jalen Hurts is just – he's just the man. I mean – he's just the guy. He wins the Super Bowl in the same place that LSU knocked him out of the championship when he played for Oklahoma. He also won the Super Bowl in the place where people finally started thinking. I remember being at that Bama Clemson semifinal game in 2017 when and I was there with my daughter. That's where I got this Derrick Henry signed helmet. And people were like, we should be kicking this team's butt. And the best pass so far was to, what was it, Daron Payne that caught the touchdown?
Yeah, I think, Daron Payne caught a touchdown pass in that game. Yeah, lined up at fullback. Yeah.
We were like, that's his best pass.
Yeah, I remember being very frustrated at that game. My all-time memory of that game, Luke, is that Alabama just lost to Auburn. Mm-hmm. Most every Alabama fan on a message board that week and in social media, most every Alabama fan said, we have no chance to win this game if Jalen Hurts is a quarterback. We're going to lose. There's no chance we have to win the game. Then Jalen does win the game, and the response is, we should have won that game by more points.
That is true. That's true.
And going into the game, no Alabama fan was saying we could win, but Jalen won, and there was just more complaints about the wins. By that point, it was tough to please Alabama fans.
All right, let's talk a little FanDuel. When the game tips off, the NBA action is just getting started, and there's no better place to get in on the action than FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. With FanDuel, you can place live bets throughout the game, so even if you miss the opening tip-off or want to bet on a fourth quarter comeback, you can stay in the action. And if you're looking for a bigger payout, you can even combine your live bets into a same-game parlay. I love using FanDuel's live betting feature because it keeps every moment of the game exciting, whether I'm backing my team for a late rally or picking a player to hit a clutch trifecta. I never feel like I missed my opportunity. Plus, the app is easy to use, and when you win, you get paid instantly. Right now, new FanDuel customers can get 150 smacks in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. Just visit FanDuel.com to join today. That's FanDuel.com for your shot at 150 smacks in bonus bets. Make every moment more with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. Okay, so Keelan Russell has spoken about Ryan Grubb, and a lot of people are speaking about Ryan Grubb and very excited about what he's bringing to Tuscaloosa. And this is a quote that I'm pulling from On 3 from Keelan Russell. He says, as a quarterback, you've got to go watch his offensive coordinator skills and everything. I did my research and everything, making sure that this guy is the man that I've been hearing. Man, when I tell you what he did with Michael Penix, it's legendary. I'm excited. I kid you not. I'm excited. The offense finna, and that's how they put in there, finna turn up this year. We finna be great. All right. I dig it.
I love that, we don't think about things like this, but your position coach is huge. And Keelan Russell, who could have signed with anybody in the country, he obviously had a comfort level with Nick Sheridan. That's who he committed to. He committed to Alabama with the idea that Nick Sheridan's going to be my coach. Then we switch it up on him, and it would be easy. As a matter of fact, not saying that anyone anticipated this, but it isn't crazy to think, gosh, we're changing his position coach. He could hit the portal because he could. That's something he could have decided. But instead, calmly researched the situation, got re-excited and figures, hey, if Kalen DeBoer thinks this is best, it is best. And look what this guy did with Michael Penix. I think it's just more demonstration of how Keelan Russell is so mature. He's a champion. Took a picture. He was in New Orleans for the Super Bowl festivities this weekend, and I took a picture with Jaden Daniels, who I've always compared Keelan's skill set to, and it's scary seeing them side by side. They're sort of twinsies. I mean, they really are remarkably similarly built. And I think the world of Jaden Daniels. We saw what he's done as a rookie in the NFL. I think Keelan can be the same type of player, but I think Keelan might be better quicker than Jaden was. Took Jaden a while to turn into the player that he is now. You know, really got into year 4, year 5 before that happened. I think Keelan might be better quicker simply because of the competition he grew up playing with and against at Duncanville and Dallas. Oh, mute. I think you're muted.
I was.
Okay.
People remember Jaden Daniels as being awesome fast. Now, he was quickly pretty good, but people go, remember he beat, I think it was number 1 Oregon, number 2 Oregon that year, but they won that game like 10-7 or 13-7. So it wasn't like Jaden Daniels just went off.
Right.
He was good. I'm not saying he wasn't good. Jaden Daniels is a fantastic player, much better in the pros than I even thought he was going to be. I mean, but like you said, I think there's an opportunity for Keelan Russell to be better, faster, because he's been the way he's been groomed. And also, I mean, just think of how quickly things have changed. I mean, even since Jaden Daniels was in high school. Now, maybe it is Jaden Russell or Keelan Daniels. But Keelan Russell, I mean, now all these kids have grown up so quickly. I mean, I bet you Keelan Russell's coming in to Alabama the same way somebody 15 years ago would be coming in as a redshirt sophomore. You understand? Like, that's how much experience these kids have now dealing with that. Because here's the other thing that I wanted to bring up about Keelan. He just signed an NIL deal with Panini America, the card company. And this is what he said about them. He said, they trusted me. They were like, hey, man, we love you. And we want you to almost be the face of our brand. I don't even know what almost sounds like an insult. Almost want you to do it. Not right now.
But we're going to go with Arch Manning.
Yeah. But he said, for them to come at me like that, for them to jump at me like that, I say the loyalty, the trust, the stuff they just gave me, like the loving and everything, was just amazing. He said, when I was younger, I used to have cards. If you were to hit up my little brother right now, he loves cards. He loves NFL projections and all that stuff. He would tell you the whole roster. I just to have myself on a card, it means a lot to me. Nothing can really express how I feel about having that experience going through my head. It's just a lot. I love it. So what I'm saying is, this guy's getting so much, he's getting rookie card stuff thrown at him as not really supposed to be out of high school yet.
Yeah, there's a maturity to him. So many of these kids understandably show up wide-eyed, quiet, not sure of themselves. That's all understandable. It's normal. Keelan is not. Keelan is going to walk in to practice day 1, which, by the way, is 3 weeks from today. 3 weeks from today is the first practice with Keelan Russell on the practice field, Alabama. He's going to walk in like he owns the place, and he will shortly. I mean, Keelan is not going to be overwhelmed by the speed of things, by the size of things. It just may take him a while to understand the offense and all that goes with it and in it, and read college defenses and understand how teams defend against you at this level. And that's going to take him a while. It does for everyone. We got to remember, I compare Keelan also to Bryce and Tua, and Bryce didn't start as a freshman. Tua didn't start really as a freshman either. He wasn't ready to be a great player in this league until late in his freshman season. Bryce didn't start till year 2. Let's not put it on Keelan to be any more mature or quicker, better than those two guys. You're talking about the 1st and 5th pick in the draft. It's going to take Keelan a minute. And thankfully, Alabama's got Ty Simpson in the meantime. But Keelan's going to catch on to things quicker than most.
All right, for this third segment, I want to talk a little hoops and a little recruiting, but we'll start with recruiting. There is a commitment date set for Jordan Edmonds, and he spells it Jorden, which is interesting. Never seen it spelled like that before. He's a 4-star cornerback. It's down to Alabama, Florida, Georgia, Oklahoma, Tennessee. He's out of Marietta, Georgia. So he's got an incredible offer list. Really good player. On3 has him as a 3-star, but 247 has him as the 53 player in the country, ESPN 108 and Rivals 73. And what that tells me is On3 is just being very careful about when they're going to, make sure they rank everybody, because I think eventually he will also be a 4-star. But Jimmy, it feels like he's going to commit to Alabama, but I'm certainly not guaranteeing it.
Yeah, same way. We're not ready to make a formal prediction or RPMs at BOL just yet. That could happen soon, but as of right now, not ready to do that just yet. But I think, like Luke said, this is an optimistic situation for Alabama. This is a really good player. Again, rankings don't buy into the rankings as being anywhere near done. They're a work in progress. What they're ranked today is not what they're going to be ranked tomorrow, as we're just getting into the 2026 class when it comes to solidifying rankings. So don't read too much into that. From all appearances, Luke, Jordan, I keep wanting to call him Sprayberry because that's the coolest name of his high school, is Sprayberry High School. Jordan Edmonds from Sprayberry High School.
But by the way, let me stop you. Did you ever eat at Sprayberry's Barbecue in Noonan, Georgia?
No.
It was delicious. I don't know if the original's still there. They used to have one right off of 85. It was delicious, but go ahead.
No, that is
like a very vinegar-based sauce, and just awesome.
And just to go with Zion Gibson, this would be an elite cornerback duo. Zion Gibson from Gadsden City already committed to Alabama. You add Jordan Edmonds to that. That's going to be a pretty sporty duo. And again, y'all just wait as the rankings get more solidified over the spring and summer. It's going to come in line to what you expect and what you would like to see in terms of committed cornerbacks to Alabama. Jordan Edmonds would be a big deal. Again, I'm optimistic, very optimistic even, but not optimistic enough to put it down as in terms of an official prediction. We don't have that for you at BOL just yet. Did you say he's got a date? Is it? Do you recall what?
Yeah. It's January 19th. January. He's already done it. February 19th.
That's coming up, man. Next week. So stay tuned to BOL. We'll probably have an official prediction for you coming in the next couple of days.
One other thing that's interesting to me, and look, we just signed Keelan Russell. We're after Jared Curtis. There's Colton Nussmeier in the 27 class, and there's Gunnar Rivers, and there's Trent Seaborn, and there's a lot of quarterbacks out there coming down the pike. Maybe I'm alone. I love Landon Duckworth at Jackson High School. And it feels like Alabama's just not going in that direction. In fact, I'm reading this update from On3, and it says the schools he's looking at are essentially Ole Miss, who might be in the driver's seat, then South Carolina, Georgia, and Florida State. Now, obviously, he was committed to South Carolina at one time. I feel like this kid's got a little Keelan Russell to him, and he's got the same kind of build. Look, far be it from me to judge a man who just finished with somewhere between the number 2 and number 4 recruiting class. That's a dude I would like on my team. And on top of that, you talk about Keelan Russell and the experience and the going against quality opponents and throwing to quality teammates. He's got all that.
Yeah. I'm a big Landon Duckworth fan for sure. I just think right now it's a little early to know exactly what the thinking here, it not only with Alabama, but with Landon too. We got to remember that Alabama just signed Keelan Russell. Landon Duckworth is extremely aware of this.
Yeah.
And there's a reason why it's very difficult to sign top quarterbacks year after year. They know who the dude is that came in right before them. So I think that could be an issue here is Keelan Russell's presence at Alabama. That's why it's going to be very difficult for Alabama to sign any blue chip quarterback in this class because they know that Keelan's just in the class ahead of them, and that might affect their ability to ever play or get on the field. So that's a thing. A second thing is NIL. NIL with quarterbacks is different than all the other positions. And think of this. I mean, you have a certain budget, right? And whatever that budget is, and I'm not saying, I'm just speculating here, but you have a budget. You can't, you can't really sign a multi-million-dollar quarterback in every cycle. You can't do that. Your entire 1/3 of your entire team budget can't be spent on the quarterback room. Maybe a quarterback in that room, but that's a factor too. NIL is a factor two ways, not just how much Landon Duckworth may want, but what Alabama has or any school has is a factor too. So I think those could all be reasons that we don't see a push yet from Alabama for Landon, and that may come or it may never come. But quarterback, it can get a little complicated.
Yeah, I totally agree. And it's just one of those things. And look, it may be something where you sign a blue chip quarterback one year, the next year you sign sort of a, hey, in case something happens, transfer portal, then a blue chip, then, hey, in case something happens, transfer. You know, that may be the way it goes. Let's talk a little hoops just for a second. The AP poll should come out today. It's about, as we're doing this, it's not out. But here's my hope, Jimmy. I hope that it's Auburn 1, Bama 2. Frankly, if I were voting, that's the way I would vote. I love the fact that it means a 1 versus 2 matchup this weekend. But I also look at it like this: for if there are any Alabama fans out there going, no, we should be 1 because Auburn lost and you drop and whatever. If we want to be 1, we'll earn it this weekend.
That's right.
If we want to be 1, we'll earn it.
I love that take. If they're 1 and 2 in any order, perfect.
Yeah.
1 and 2 in any order would be great, with both teams winning their midweek game and just setting up the greatest in-season, regular season basketball game in the history of the state of Alabama, with ESPN Game Day there and the attention of the college basketball world on Alabama versus Auburn, almost like Duke, North Carolina, but not just any Duke, North Carolina. Duke, North Carolina when they're ranked 1 and 2. I mean, that's really what this is, right? So, yeah, I'm for that. I'm for 1 and 2 in any order. Doesn't matter to me. And you know, and hey, I like following the lead of the coaches usually, and Nate's a good person to follow. Like Nate, when Nate was asked if Alabama should be number 1, Nate said he didn't care. And I love that answer, because what does it really mean? Now we do know it means something. It means a brighter star, a bigger platform, more evidence of where Alabama stands in the college basketball world, and more things that helps with recruiting when you're like, you know, we've been the number 1 team in the country. But does it really matter? Not to this Alabama team, because this Alabama team is trying to win a national championship, and being number 1 in February doesn't mean as much as being number 1 in April.
In fact, I mean, the way it's set up now, if you're number 1 in February and then get knocked out in the Sweet 16, people go, oh, I thought you were number 1. You know, yeah. They kind of make fun of you. So, look, but I would like to, it is a feather in the cap. And it is something that it's statistically in the offseason when you're like, hey, I wonder how awesome Alabama has been in basketball, you know, over its history. Oh, we were number 1 in 2025 for a brief period. It's great. And you're right, the tournament is what matters. But I would like to have our team have the chip on its shoulder with that number 2 ranking. And if we want to be number 1, go earn it. Now, what's very scary to me, you got a Texas team that is dangerous. They lost this weekend to Vandy. They are in sort of maybe a little desperation mode. They need this win Tuesday night. And then we play Auburn. Then guess what we do? We travel on the road to a Missouri squad that ain't messing around. They ain't messing around. And they got dudes. And then we got a Kentucky team at home that they're not in desperation mode, but they're desperation mode in terms of where they're going to be seated. So then we get Mississippi State at home, and then we get Tennessee on the road, and then we get Florida at home, and then we go to Auburn again. So none of this is fun anymore. This is not screwing around time. But anyway, that's going to do it for today's podcast. We'll be back tomorrow with more. Until then, roll tide, everybody.
Roll tide.